Girl, and this is Eating Out with Mecca James. Today I will be tasting another random pasta, and today's pasta is Terry, posted August 23rd at 2015, so it's a very recent pasta, and it has a 7.3 out of 10 rating. So let's just dive in. It looks like a good length pasta, so let's begin. Okay. Arthur Willow lay awake listening to the rustling noise in his closet. He was 14, much too old to believe in the cliched thought of a monster in the closet. I like that it points that out, at least. Yet, as he tried to force himself asleep for yet another time this month, the rustling grew louder than it ever had before. Whenever this noise occurred, he justified it as a rogue toy or a raccoon stuck in the wall. There was no point in checking the closet. He had before, and there was always nothing to see. So the sound continued into the night, until, as per usual, Arthur finally shut his heavy eyelids. "Arthur, breakfast!" his mother's voice echoed from up in the kitchen. Arthur rubbed his eyes, rolled out of the warmth of the covers, and started his routine. He opened the door to the closet, glanced around at his old toys, a pile of clothes he outgrew, and a rather large bunny his grandparents had given him for Easter. He had never found anything during this routine, and this gave him some comfort. "How did you sleep, honey?" Arthur's mom had asked as she See, that's one thing. I like that she calls him honey. I hate it when parents in creepypastas call their children baby. I call my boyfriend baby. I'm not gonna call my child baby. Like, to me, that's a little too, sexual. So I like that she calls him, honey. Arthur's mom asked as she plopped the 2 pancakes out of the frying pan. Ugh, I could go for some pancakes. Onto his plate. Arthur was always impressed with how strong she was after his dad passed away. Okay, so we got the fatherless protagonist. "Wonderful," Arthur lied. His mother gave him a worried look, patted his messy hair, and started cleaning dishes. Arthur finished breakfast and put on his coat. The freezing air nipped at his cheeks, and as he shoveled and sank into the driveway snow, the neighbor children ran up and up and down the block, pelting each other with snowballs and making snow angels. Arthur watched the snowflakes fall briefly, and then returned to the warmth of his home. Arthur removed his coat and sat on the couch and began to read. The noise had become more frequent. Silent nights were becoming rare. Sleep deprivation had caught up to him, and Arthur took a much-needed nap. He awoke to gunshots. Okay, this escalated quickly. Arthur's eyelids flew open and he sat straight up. Through panicked breaths, his eyes raced around the room, and he saw cowboys on a television in a shootout. Mary, his little sister, had turned on the TV while she in the cushy recliner holding a doll. "Mary, would you let me rest?" Wait. "Mary, you should have let me rest." Really? "I sorry," Mary genuinely said. Sorry. Yeah, that's real genuine. Real fucking genuine. You're a goddamn child. She was only 3. Okay, that's a little more acceptable. At least it's not as bad as, like, an 8-year-old. Like, can fucking play with me. Ugh, fuck that story. But anyways, she was only 3, so it was near impossible to be upset with her. Arthur's mother walked into the room, and the rest of the evening was spent in the living room with his family. Before his father passed away, having a good relationship with his family was not as important. Now they relied much more on each other. Okay, so that's a pretty warming message there. Everyone said goodnight, and Arthur returned to his room. He easily laid down under the covers and waited. Just as Arthur was on the edge of sleep, it began. Arthur was starting to believe he was going insane. Once again, he forced himself to sleep. He awoke to this closet slamming. Okay, that's getting a little scary. At first, it didn't register with Arthur. He rolled over and looked at the clock. It was 5 a.m. When his sleepiness drifted away, he sat up staring at the closet door. Using a sliver of the morning sunlight available, Arthur could see that the floor in front of the closet was damp. He quickly flung open the closet door and threw a pile of clothes out of the closet, scattered toys, and chucked the rabbit. There was nothing. Arthur replaced the contents of his closet and then returned to bed. He laid in bed wide awake until breakfast. At breakfast, he sat down and his mother gave him waffles. Okay, so, I'm just distracted. Pancakes and then waffles, like, okay. Whatever happened to cereal for breakfast? Like, no mom has this time. This is not the 50s. Especially without a freaking father in the home. How's the mother gonna make freaking deluxe breakfasts every morning? Unless these are like Eggo's toaster waffles, then I get it. Continuing. Some neighbor children built the cutest little snowman in our yard, his mother said while she handed him syrup. I'll take a look at it when I go to Snowball Show. Snow. Arthur replied. The snowman outside was small and poorly made. It had classic twigs for arms and rocks for eyes. A scarf was loosely wrapped around its neck. The scarf seemed familiar to Arthur. It was a blue with rubber ducks scattered all over it. It was exactly like the scarf Arthur wore as a child. In fact, it was Arthur's scarf. Arthur ran back inside and searched for his sister. Mary! Arthur jogged upstairs and checked in his sister's room. Mary sat on the floor coloring from the light at the window. Turn on the goddamn light! Mary, did you build a snowman outside using my scarf? Turi did it, Mary replied without... It literally says Turydidet. Turi did it. Okay. Let's see. Here, let me get my candle up here. Oh, man. There. I just assumed you want candle in this shot, since it's a spooky story. Okay. Fuck! Pardon the bad video quality. I am using an alligator head as a tripod at the moment. So, the show must go on. As they always say, the show must go on. Fuck. Fuck a doodle shit. Okay, let's just do it low like this. We'll do it live. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Fuck. Mary replied without looking up from her coloring activity. Who's Terry? Arthur analyzed, Mary trying to figure it out if this was some sort of joke. My friend. Mary seemed completely serious. When do you see Terry? Arthur asked, feeling his heart sink. Night. He watches us. Mary kept coloring away as if the conversation was normal. Arthur lay awake at night, no matter how much sleep gripped him. He wanted to stay awake and watch. His forced breathing He forced his breathing to become heavy and slow, to appear as he was sleeping. Around 3 a.m., Arthur heard something very strange, the sound of shifting floorboards. He deduced. Oh, my candle! Everything is going wrong today, ladies and gentlemen. He deduced, and then the door opened. To Arthur's shock, the rabbit plopped out of the closet and remained motionless. Arthur couldn't believe it. The rabbit was alive? This made absolutely no sense. It had most likely been purchased at Walmart by his grandparents. How was an Easter toy alive? While Arthur's eyes were fixed on the rabbit, the door slid open more. A small boy slowly stepped out of the closet. He stood there, seemingly staring at Arthur. Arthur became so terrified, but kept his determination and remained still. Okay, this is actually getting pretty scary right now. And aside from the pin needle plot holes here and there and the Terry, it's okay. I'm liking it. I'm very intrigued. The child had dark brown hair, a murky gray skin. His eyes remained fixated on Arthur, unblinking. Arthur stayed in horror as he realized the boy's eyes had no pupils or color. They were completely white. For minutes, which felt like hours to Arthur, the disfigured child stood in the moonlight, watching Arthur. Okay, they use Arthur's name a lot. Like, they can say him. Pronouns are okay, too. The horror of the situation had overtaken him, and he lay in bed paralyzed by his gaze. After around 20 minutes, the intensity of the situation had become too much, and Arthur began to cry. The small child almost appeared to be startled by the sound. He slowly walked across the room, appearing to study Arthur. Arthur remained completely still as the child approached. The child's cheeks were sunken in, and his white eyes were glazed over. The child stopped getting closer, when their noses almost touched and Arthur could feel his breath. The child then shrieked. Terry's scream made Arthur's stomach churn, and he leapt backwards in the bed in terror. Suddenly, Terry ran out of Arthur's room and down the hall. Arthur remained frozen, with his back to the wall, staring at the entrance of the room. While processing what had happened, he reflected back to what Mary had told him. Had he ran into Mary's room? The overwhelming fear... Wait, where is it? The overwhelming fear that this creature was stifled for the welfare of his sister. God damn it! Arthur grabbed his battered baseball bat. Wow. And headed down the hall. He half whispered, half yelled, "Mary!" while he slowly walked up with his bat, checking every corner. Finally, he made his way to Mary's bedroom. Her window was wide open, and the cold air was rushing into the room. Arthur turned on the lights and searched the room. Mary was gone. The police were called to the Willow family home that night. Arthur never spoke to his mother or the cops about what happened. The police said that they found 2 sets of small footprints side by side in the snow leading into the woods before they had disappeared. They searched the neighborhood and the woods long into the night to no avail. Early that morning, Arthur once again searched the closet. He recalled back to the noise of the floorboard shifting, and then he started putting pressure on the floor. The boards gave in a little. Arthur managed to pull out a few. Beneath the floor, Arthur found an odd crawl space. This must be where Terry had been hiding. Right under the rabbit, beneath the floor, inside, he found some of his old toys and various drawings. The drawings consisted of what Arthur could tell was Terry and Mary. Arthur became sick when he saw that Mary had gray skin and white eyes. The last picture of Terry and Mary on it had a distinct hill which appeared to be in the woods. Arthur stared at the hill and realized that he had seen this place before when he was younger. He played in the woods, and more specifically on that hill. Arthur grabbed his coat and boots and sprinted out the door into the cold morning air. He rushed through the woods, dodging rocks and limbs. Off in the distance, he saw a hill from his childhood. As he approached, he began to make out a little figure of Mary laying in the snow. "Mary!" Arthur yelled as he dropped to his knees beside her body. Her skin was gray and frostbitten, her hair slightly covering her white eyes. "Mary, wake up!" He gingerly picked her up and checked for a pulse. There was none. "Mary, you can't die. You're my sister," Arthur said with tears running down his face. Mary slowly turned her head and screamed. I don't know. It was like, metaphorically speaking, you got it up, and then it kind of went limp after a while. You know what I mean? And my candle's blown out. But, yeah, it was very well written. Way better written than most creepypastas I read, especially these random button ones. It was very well written, and I was very hooked. I liked the hook of the story. It was really intriguing. The only thing is, the end got stupid. Let me just say, the end got very stupid. For the example, why would you not tell your mom or the cops when your little sister is missing? You would tell them anything. No matter how fucking crazy you sound, you're gonna tell them. Why didn't you tell them? Why didn't they look at the footprints in the woods? Why didn't they follow the footprints into the woods? Why didn't you fucking tell the cops or your mom? I don't know. There are some holes in the plot, and the end is kind of, jump scare, but it's not a fucking jump scare because you're goddamn reading. You know what I mean. It was, at the end. So, I agree with the 7-point-something rating. Really good writing, good concept, but there was a really weird conclusion. This has been Eating Out with Mecca James. I'll see you all next week, and like, comment, subscribe, do what makes you happy. Goodbye.